Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting smart about, well, sometimes surprising tech.
That's right.
And today, it's Flywheel Energy Storage Systems, FESS. We've gone through a pile of your sources, research papers, articles, the works.
And our job is pull out the really key stuff for you, the insights you actually need.
So we're taking this deep dive, right, extracting the core ideas.
Exactly. We want you to get why these things matter, not just what they are. It's a neat story, from old ideas to, well, really modern tech.
Okay, first thought. Flywheel Energy Storage. Is it basically just a big spinning thing? How does that store power?
You're basically right. At its heart, it is kinetic energy in a spinning mass. But here's a wild stat from the sources that kind of blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
To get the same energy punch as just 1 kilogram of a lithium-ion battery, right? If you use a steel flywheel, it'd have to spin at something like 300,000 RPM, maybe even a bit more, 311,000 according to one source.
Whoa, okay, 300,000 RPM. That sounds fast. Why is that an issue for steel?
Well, think about the forces. At that speed, the centrifugal stress is enormous. We're talking gigapascals. Billions of pascals.
Okay.
That's like tens, maybe hundreds of times more pressure than even really strong steel can take. Its tensile strength is way lower, maybe 400 to 1,200 megapascals. So, yeah.
It would just fly apart.
Pretty much, just tear itself to pieces.
Yeah.
And that's why modern flywheels don't really use steel for high energy density. They use advanced stuff. Composites like carbon fiber.
Right, stronger materials.
Exactly. They handle much higher speeds, so you can store way more energy.
It's amazing, though, the simple spinning idea goes way back. Your sources mentioned, like, Potter's wheels, 2000 BCE.
Yeah, and spindle wheels, too. Basically anything where you needed smooth, continuous rotation. They weren't storing grid power, obviously, but they smoothed out the energy input.
And then the Industrial Revolution, right. James Watt used them in steam engines.
Absolutely crucial. They helped regulate the engine speed, made them much more efficient and stable. So the principle isn't new, just the scale and materials.
Okay, so fast forward. Today's FESS. You called them mechanical batteries.
That's a good way to think of it. An electric motor spins up this rotor off in that carbon fiber we mentioned, usually in a vacuum to cut down friction.
Okay.
Then, when you need the power back, the spinning rotor drives a generator. Kinetic energy back to electricity.
And the performance? The sources mention some numbers.
Yeah, pretty impressive specs. You're looking at round-trip efficiency of, say, 85 to 95%. Very good. And they last a long time, maybe 30 years.
30 years.
And they can handle tons of discharge cycles, tens of thousands easily, without really degrading like a chemical battery might.
That's a huge plus.
So, okay, connecting this to the listener.
Yeah.
Why should you care? Where are these actually being used?
Good question. They fill some really important niches. Grid stability is a big one. They react incredibly fast, milliseconds, to balance supply and demand, regulate frequency.
So like keeping the lights from flickering?
Sort of, yeah, but on a much bigger grid scale.
Yeah.
And for renewables, they're great. They act like shock absorbers for wind and solar, smoothing out the bumps when clouds pass or the wind drop.
Exactly. They handle those rapid frequent cycles really well, which can actually help extend the life of batteries they might be paired with in a hybrid system.
Interesting. What else?
Well, UPS systems. Uninterruptible power supplies. Think data centers, hospitals. Flywheels give you that instant backup power the second the grid blips.
Okay, makes sense. Any, surprising uses?
A couple stood out. NASA's looking at them for the moon and Mars.
Yeah.
They handle extreme temperatures and environments pretty well, apparently.
Huh, space flywheels.
Right. And then there's this development of, get this, concrete flywheels. The idea is they could be 10 times cheaper for storage. Still early days, maybe, but intriguing.
Concrete. Okay, so are all flywheels basically the same, or are there different kinds for these different jobs?
Good point. Now, they vary. You can sort of group them by a few things. Materials, for one.
Steel versus carbon fiber.
Right. Steel is cheaper, good for maybe less demanding stationary stuff. Carbon fiber gives you that higher performance, lighter weight. Then there's bearings. Bearings, how they spin.
Yeah. Reducing friction is key. Magnetic bearings are a big deal, especially superconducting ones. They can get efficiencies over 98% because there's almost no physical contact.
Wow.
And finally, speed. Low speed, under 10,000 RPM maybe, often for UPS. High speed, way over 10,000 RPM, for the really demanding grid stuff.
Okay, pulling it all together then.
Yeah.
How do flywheels fit into the big energy picture? What's the verdict?
Well, the advantages are pretty clear. That amazing cycle life, the long operational life, high efficiency, and they're generally quite environmentally friendly. Steel is very recyclable.
But there have to be downsides, right? Nothing's perfect.
True. The main hurdles mentioned are the initial capital cost, the CapEx, can be higher than lithium-ion right now,
Yeah.
and self-discharge.
Meaning they lose energy over time just sitting there.
Yeah, they slowly spin down due to friction, however small. So they're not ideal for storing energy for like weeks or months. Better for shorter duration needs.
So how do they stack up overall? You mentioned your internal score, right? Our will it change everything? Or WICE score. We gave Fessus a 57 out of 100.
57, what does that tell us?
Shows they score really well on durability, lifespan, operational costs. But they're held back a bit currently by energy density compared to batteries and that initial cost.
So niche applications for now.
Primarily, yes. Things like rapid frequency response, power quality, handling those quick bursts of energy in hybrid systems, complementing batteries rather than replacing them everywhere. They really shine in those high cycle or short duration roles.
Okay, so thinking about everything we've unpacked here, the ancient idea, the modern materials, the surprising applications, what really stands out to you, our listener, about flywheel power? And how do you see them fitting into our energy future? Something to think about.